In the early years, USSR used to use the veto power frequently, so much so that as per reports, the then Soviet ambassador Andrei Gromyko earned the nickname Mr. Niet, and Vyacheslav Molotov was known as Mr. Veto. Over the years, the USSR, now Russia, has cast a total of 146 vetoes, or close to half of all vetoes. Since 1946, when the USSR used the veto power on a draft resolution regarding the withdrawal of foreign troops from Lebanon and Syria, the veto has been recorded 294 times. Over the years, USSR has used the veto power in favor of India as well. In all, the permanent member of the UNSC has used the veto power 4 times in support of India. The USSR first used the veto power for India in 1957 over the Kashmir issue. When Nikita Khrushchev, the then leader of the Soviet Union, visited India in 1955, he said that Moscow was just across the border, and in case of any trouble in Kashmir, Delhi should just give a shout to the USSR. He stayed true to his words, and when Pakistan proposed the use of a temporary UN force in connection with the demilitarization, and the bilateral issue was close to becoming an international issue, USSR used the veto power in favor of India. The second time USSR used its veto power for India is in 1961, when Portugal sent a letter to the UNSC concerning Goa. At that time, Goa was still under the power of Portugal and India was trying to liberate the region and make it a part of its nation. Unlike France, Portugal refused to let go of its territories in India and even opened fire on the protesters in Goa. As per reports, Nikita Khrushchev sent a telegram to former Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru in which he said, "India's actions to do away with outposts of colonialism in its territory were absolutely lawful and justified." Portugal tried to invoke the UN Charter and proposed a resolution that India should withdraw their forces from Goa. The proposal was supported by the United States, the United Kingdom and France. But USSR came to India's rescue and blew away the proposal by using the veto power. It strengthened India's cause, and on December 19, 1961, Goa was finally liberated from the rule of Portugal. It is important to note that it was USSR's 99th veto. USSR used its 100th veto in 1962, and this time again, in favor of India. An Irish resolution in the UNSC urged India and Pakistan to directly negotiate with one another to settle the Kashmir issue. 7 UNSC members supported it, and among them were 4 permanent members: the US, France, UK and China. The Indian delegation refused to accept the resolution, and then the Russian delegate used the veto power to make the resolution null and void. In 1965, after the India-Pakistan War began, the then Pakistani Foreign Minister, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, raised the Kashmir issue at the UN, and the Indian delegation walked out in protest. The Kashmir issue became dormant in the UNSC, except in 1971 when resolutions were proposed over the Kashmir issue, but in December 1971, when India was engaged in a war against Pakistan to liberate Bangladesh, the USSR used its veto power thrice, to ensure that the issue remains a bilateral one instead of becoming a global concern that could attract interference from third-party nations. So, Russia had helped India in its worst times, and looking at the current India-Russia relations, Russia is the only UNSC permanent member who can help India in future, because US can never be trusted. This is it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like and subscribe to the channel.